this lesson, I want to go over how you can find the equation of a line when you're given a single point of that line as well as the slope of the line, and that is known as the point-slope method. But before I go into that, I want to go over what the slope would be if we had a horizontal line. So let's say we had a line that was just a straight horizontal line like this. This would be the line y is equal to 4. What would the slope be of a horizontal line such as this? Well, we know that the slope or the gradient is equal to the change in y over the change in x. And as we can see, when we have a horizontal line like this, we have no change in y. We only have a change in x. This line is only going to be changing in the x dimension, but it is not changing in the y dimension. It remains at y is equal to 4 the entire time. And that means that our change in y would be 0. We don't have any change in y. So if our change in y is equal to 0, that means our slope m is going to be equal to 0 divided by whatever our change in x is. And since we have 0 divided by something, we know that 0 divided by anything is just going to be 0. So when we have a horizontal line, the slope of a horizontal line is going to be 0. There is no gradient. What about if we had a vertical line? So let's say we were dealing with a line like this. It went straight down and only changed in the y dimension. Here our line is at x is equal to 3. As I said, this line is only changing in the y dimension. It's not changing in the x dimension. So if we were trying to find the slope for this line again, this would be the change in y over the change in x. But in this case, we have no change in x. So our change in x would be equal to 0. And we know that any time we are dividing by 0, we are going to get something that is undefined. Dividing by 0 is undefined. So the slope of a vertical line, like this blue line here, is going to be undefined. So that is just something that I wanted to make a note of before we go into the point-slope method, which is that if we have a horizontal line, our slope is going to be 0, and if we have a vertical line, our slope is going to be undefined. So let's go ahead and explore the point-slope method for finding the equation of a line. So we know that the standard form of the equation of a line is going to be y is equal to mx plus b. This is something that we should be familiar with, and if you're not, I suggest you go back to the videos that we covered on linear functions, and you can see that this was discussed in more detail. But this is going to be the standard form that you are going to find the equation of a line in. And what we're going to go over now is how you can find out what the equation of your line is when you're just given a single coordinate as well as the slope. So let's say you were given the following coordinate. When x is equal to 2 and y is equal to -3, and you were told that the slope m was equal to 3/4. How would you go about finding an equation for this line with this coordinate and this slope? So the first thing that we want to make note of is that when we're given a coordinate like this, we know that this is going to be our x coordinate, this is going to be our y coordinate, and here we are given m. So one thing that you should notice is that we are already given 3 aspects of this equation here. We have a y value, we have an m value, and we have an x value. So if we were to plug in what we already know given this information, we can use this to calculate a value for b. So let's go ahead and do that. If we were to put in a value for y, we can see our y value is -3. So we have -3 is equal to our m value, which is 3/4, multiplied by our x value, which in this case is 2, plus b. So if we simplify this further, we're going to get negative 3 is equal to 6 over 4 plus b. And to solve for b, we just need to move this 6 over 4 to this side of the equation. So we're going to subtract 6 over 4 from both sides. And that is going to give us our b value. And if you subtract 6 over 4 from negative 3, you are going to get negative 9 over 2, which is negative 4.5 in decimal form. And that is our value of b. So now we know our b value. Our b value is negative 9 over 2. So what we can do in order to get an equation for this line is write it in the following form. We have y is equal to m, our slope, which is 3 over 4. We have our x value, and now all we have to do is add our b value, and our b value is negative 9 over 2. And what we have just done is found the equation for our line that had the following coordinate and the following slope. So this is going to be the equation of our line, and we can use this equation to find out any value for y when we are given any value for x, or vice versa. Let's go over another example. Let's say you are given the coordinate when x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 4, and you are told that the slope is equal to 3. And now you are asked to find the equation for this line. We know that the equation for our line has to be in the form y is equal to mx plus b. And we already have a value for m, so what we need now is our b value. So again, just like in our previous example, we can use the fact that we have a specific x and y value to calculate our b value. So let's put in our value for y, which in this case is 4. So 4 is equal to m, which is 3, times x, which is 1, plus b. And if we simplify, we know that 4 is equal to 3 plus b. And if we want to solve for b, we need to subtract 3 from both sides. So 4 minus 3 is going to be equal to our b value. And 4 minus 3 is 1. So we know that b is equal to 1. Now that we have calculated our b value, we can write down our equation for our line. So we know that the equation for our line is going to be y is equal to 3x plus 1. 3 was our slope that we were given in the question stem, and we have our b value of 1. And this is going to be the equation of our line. So that is a quick and easy way that you can find out the equation of a line when you are just given a point and the slope of the line.